Dust devils danced across the parched earth surrounding the widowed Maze Mercantile, kicking up grit and shimmering heat. Inside, Silas the silent Harding meticulously cleaned his Winchester rifle. The scent of oiled metal mingled with the sweet aroma of dried peaches and the faint tang of gunpowder. He hadn't spoken a word in 3 years, not since the Apaches had taken his family. Now, he was Copper Canyon's unofficial guardian, a shadow moving through the twilight, a whisper of retribution. A bell jingled above the door, announcing a new arrival. It was Jeb Stone, the town's perpetually broke prospector, his face etched with a mix of desperation and excitement. Silas, Jeb croaked, wiping sweat from his brow. "You gotta see this. Found something big." Silas lowered the rifle, his grey eyes, sharp and unreadable, fixed on Jeb. He pointed a calloused finger towards the door. Jeb shuffled up, leading Silas towards the outskirts of town, towards the rugged foothills that clawed at the sky. "Been working this claim for months. Nothing but fool's gold and heartache," Jeb said, his voice low. "Then, yesterday I struck something different." He led Silas to a small, newly dug pit in the red dirt. The sun glinted off something metallic within. Silas knelt, brushing away the loose soil. It was a wagon wheel, intricately carved, fought 218 for any settler's transport. Further digging revealed more of a broken carriage door, fragments of porcelain, and the unmistakable gleam of silver. Mexican silver, Silas signed, using a worn leather pad and charcoal stick he always carried. "Old. Valuable," Jeb nodded eagerly. "Thought so. Been trying to figure out how this got here. This ain't no settler's wreckage. This looks like something from the De La Cruz hacienda. Heard stories about it, 4 of the Apaches raided it. They say it was full of treasure." Silas's eyes narrowed. The De La Cruz raid was a dark chapter in Copper Canyon's history, a brutal massacre that had been largely forgotten. He remembered the whispers, the legends of a hidden fortune, spirited away by the fleeing hacienda owners. "Who knows about this?" Silas signed, his hand moving with practiced efficiency. "Just me," Jeb insisted. "Swear on my mama's grave, but I heard some fellas been asking questions. Rough-looking types. Headed this way." Silas felt a familiar tension coil in his gut. Trouble was brewing. He knew those rough-looking types. They were mercenaries, hired guns, often employed by claim jumpers and bandits. They're led by a man named Kaelen. He signed, "We keep this quiet until I decide what to do." Jeb nodded, relief washing over his face. He knew Silas was the only man who could protect Copper Canyon from the vultures circling overhead. The next few days were a tense dance of shadows and whispered warnings. Silas, with Jeb as his reluctant eyes and ears, learned that Kaelen and his men were indeed heading towards the claim, eager to seize whatever fortune lay buried beneath the Arizona soil. Silas also learned that the remnants of the De La Cruz family were interested in the recovered treasure. A mysterious woman named Isabella de la Cruz arrived in Copper Canyon, accompanied by a single, silent guard. She sought Silas out. Isabella, elegant and resolute, explained her family's history and their claim to the recovered treasure. "My grandfather was the last to leave the hacienda," she said, her voice laced with melancholy. "He carried with him a map, a promise to return Sunday. This claim, it's rightfully ours." Silas, skeptical but pragmatic, signed, "I protect Copper Canyon, treasure or not." He agreed to help Isabella secure the claim, but he warned her Kaelen was ruthless. There would be a fight. The confrontation was inevitable. Kaelen and his mercenaries arrived at the claim, their faces grim, their hands on their weapons. Silas, standing beside Isabella and Jeb, met them with a silent defiance. "Her tell there was something valuable here," Kaelen sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "Guess we're in luck." Silas didn't respond. He raised his Winchester, his eyes fixed on Kaelen. The silence was broken by the sharp crack of a gunshot. The ensuing gunfire was a whirlwind of dust and lead. Silas moved with a predator's grace, his Winchester spitting fire. Jeb, surprisingly agile, provided covering fire from behind a rocky outcrop. Isabella, despite her delicate appearance, displayed a surprising level of courage, guiding Jeb to a better firing position. Kaelen, frustrated by Silas's uncanny accuracy, ordered his men to flank them. But Silas anticipated the move, taking out 2 mercenaries with a well-placed volley. Just as Kaelen seemed to gain an advantage, a new threat emerged from the surrounding hills. A war party of Apaches, alerted by the gunfire, descended upon the battlefield. Their war cries echoed through the canyon, adding a chaotic new dimension to the conflict. Silas recognized the markings on their faces. They were a splinter group, led by a young warrior named Chayton. He had witnessed the De La Cruz raid as a boy, and he harbored a deep resentment towards anyone who sought to profit from the tragedy. Silas realized that he faced a three-way conflict with Kaelen's mercenaries, Isabella's claim, and now a vengeful Apache war party. It was a recipe for disaster. He made a decision. He turned his Winchester towards the mercenaries, taking out Kaelen and 2 of his men. Then he swung around, exchanging fire with the Apache warriors, creating a diversion. "Leave!" Silas signed frantically to Isabella and Jeb, pointing towards the town. "Now, I'll hold them off." Isabella hesitated, her eyes filled with gratitude and fear, but she knew Silas was right. Her claim, her future depended on her survival. She and Jeb retreated towards Copper Canyon, the sounds of gunfire fading behind them. Silas was left alone, surrounded by enemies. He fought with a desperate fury, his movements a blur of controlled violence. He knew he couldn't win, not against such overwhelming odds, but he could buy Isabella and Jeb enough time to escape. As the last of Kaelen's mercenaries fell, Chayton stepped forward, his face a mask of fury. He raised his bow, aiming an arrow directly at Silas. Suddenly, a single shot rang out. The arrow deflected harmlessly to the ground. Silas turned to see Isabella standing on a ridge, a silent guard holding a long-barreled rifle. "Go!" Isabella signed urgently. "There's more to the story. The map leads to something bigger." Silas hesitated for a moment, his eyes locked with Isabella's. He saw a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption. Then he turned and disappeared into the desert, leaving Isabella and the remnants of the De La Cruz treasure to face the coming storm. The dust settled, leaving behind a battlefield and a lingering sense of uncertainty. Copper Canyon had been spared a bloodbath, but the secrets of the De La Cruz hacienda remained buried, waiting to be unearthed.